Without understanding this thing, it is very difficult in human resource management. So first of all, we are going to talk to you about the human resource audit, what exactly. So I just want to clarify that what exactly audit it. HR audit means the systematic verification of job analysis and placement, training and development, performance appraisals and job evaluations, employee and executive remunerations, motivation and morale, participative management, communications, trade unionism, and disputes and their resolution. So, in totality, if we talk about the HR audit, that means that it is a systematic verification, that we have to verify systematically the job analysis and design. As you must be aware about this thing, that whenever we are planning the things, we have to analyze the job, that on which particular job which type of people are working, and then we have to design the whole job in such a manner so that we can identify the salary structure for those people. Then apart from this, in the audit we are going to talk about the recruitment and selection process also, because whenever the HR department is recruiting the people, and after giving all the information regarding their recruitment, they are selecting the people. In that situation, when they are selecting the employees, it is usually said that how much remuneration or how much money they are providing to the people who are recruiting and selecting the people. And apart from that, when the recruitment and selection takes place, that what are the basic of the orientation and placements. Because you know that when we are selecting the people, when we are recruiting the people, we have to give the orientation to the employees, and then we have to place those employees in such a manner where the organization actually require those people. Then training and development. This is another part which has to be audited by the HR planning and HR management. What is this training and development? That means that whenever the new employee is added in the organization, we have to give training to those people. And why we are giving training to those people? Because there are enhancement of new innovative ideas, there are new technologies which are coming up, so we have to make aware of those technologies to the employees. And apart from that, we are looking in those terms that how the people are going to be developed so that they can do the job in a proper manner. Then, apart from this, when the training and development is complete, then we have to audit regarding the performance appraisal is concerned and the job evaluation is concerned. Performance appraisals means that when whatever the work employee is doing at given task at different levels, it is the role of the HR to see that how they will appraise the performance of particular person. And then they have to identify that what are the evaluation process of the job, then how a job can be evaluated in different manners. Then after doing this thing, it is the role of HR to find out that how they are going to remunerate employees as well as executive, because you know the employees and executives remuneration total depends upon the performance appraisal as well as job evaluations. So it is very important to understand this thing, that how the remuneration can be calculated and on which basis or on which grades or scales we have to keep each and every employee as well as executives. Then another part of HR department is motivation and morale, because it is very important to see if the employee is motivated and the morale of the employee is high. Definitely the employee is working towards the betterment of the organization, and they always feel like working in such a direction so that the things become more and more comfortable for each and every person, whether it is the management or whether it is the employees level. Then participative management, this is also another part of HR audit, which says that when we are talking about the management is concerned, it should be participate. That means that whenever we are talking to the employees, it should be taken into consideration that we are always going to motivate the employees. So it is very important to see the participation of the management in day-to-day practices. Then communication, whatever the communications are giving through the HR department or through any management functions, it is said that the communication should be very clear, and the audit should be done on that communication also, whether the communication is a proper or it has some lacunas in that. then welfare and the social securities. This has to be audited because we have to see that on all the good organizations, it is see that the organizations are looking forward for the social security and the welfare of the employees. Because nowadays it is said that if your employee is happy, if organization is taking care of the employee, definitely employee is going to work towards the betterment of the organization. Then safety and the health measurements. This is another thing which has to be audited because without safety and health, no organization will survive. So it is always seen that whenever the organization should be there, it should be proper and taking care of the safety and health insurance of the employees. Then what are the basic industrial relation and the trade unions and disputes and their resolution? This has to be audited because in big organization, it is important to see the industrial relationship among the people, among the industries, and then we have to see that how trade union are working in that particular area. So this is also one of the point regarding the audit is concerned. And on the basis of that, we have to take the decision that what exactly the trade union here are doing. And we have to see that how the disputes and their resolutions are going to be taking place with the help of the HR. So, if we say that HR is a sort of backbone of the organization, and whenever we are making the HR planning, these things should be taken into consideration because without taking these things into consideration, it is very, very difficult for us to make a planning for a better and developed organization who are having a certain goals and they want to perform those goals effectively in the coming time period. Then the next point, HR audit is very much useful to achieve the organizational goal and also is a vital tool which helps to assess the effectiveness of HR functions of an organization. Here, it is mentioned that HR audit is a very, very useful tool to achieve the organizational goal because they are saying if the HR is proper, definitely, and the audit is very good, definitely we are able to find out the plus and the minus point of the employees. And when we are able to find out the negative points of the employee and try to solve those problems, this is the situation where we are going towards the achievement of the organizational goal, and it is a vital tool to assess the effectiveness of HR function of an organization. Yes, it is absolutely right because when we are doing the audit, as I have told you just now, that in the audit we have to look after the training placement, we have to look after the recruitment selection process, we have to look after the health issues, we have to look after the welfare of the employee, trade unionism, then difficulties and the solutions, etc. So this is the role of HR. If the audit of HR is very good and they are able to identify all the negative points regarding the organization is concerned as well as for the employees are concerned, they can take remedial action to uplift those things in such a manner so that the things will become better for the organization and the all the HR functions work in a proper manner. So they are saying that HR audit is a process of examining the policies, procedures, documentation system, and practices with respect to an organization's HR function. Here it is saying that the HR audit process is what? The process of HR audit is related with the policies and the procedures of the HR department, documentation system of the HR department, and the practices of the HR department in respect to the organization. So it is usually said that the HR audit is the main important tool regarding the examination of the policies, procedures, documentation, and practices which are prevailing in the organization and which has to be either enhanced or it has to be move away from the organization so that the things become much more smoother and faster for the development of the organization. The purpose of the audit is to reveal the strengths and weaknesses in the non-profit's human resource system. They are saying why audit is necessary. Audit is essential because of only one reason, that it can reveal the strength and weaknesses in the non-profit human resource system and any issues needing the resolution. So they are saying that whatever the human resource systems we are developing, if we are able to find out the weaknesses and strength, as I have quoted just now, we are in a position to identify that where the weaknesses lies and how we are going to overpower those things. Then the audit works best when the focus is on analyzing and improving the HR functions in the organization. They are saying that audit always work very fast and good when they are focusing on two things. First is analyzing the situation, and second is the improving the HR functions in the organization. So it is usually said that how audit is going to be worked very effectively. It can work only effectively if HR department is in a position to analyze the situation and improve the HR functions. Because that is very, very important to understand that if we are not able to analyze and improve the HR function, it is going to be problem for the organization. Then what are the scope of audits? As we have discussed about the audit, then what are the relationship between the HR and the audit? Then now the scopes of audit. Generally, no one can measure the attitude of human being. It covers the different HR areas. As it is said that it is very, very difficult for anybody to measure the human uh, attitude. So there are few things which we have to take into consideration regarding the scope of audit is concerned. The audit of managerial compliances of personal policies, procedures, and legal provision. That means scope in audit is to find out the managerial compliances of the personal policies, procedures, and legal provisions. That we have to do the procedures, legal provision, and policies in such a manner that it will compliance with the managerial functions. Then audit of corporate strategy regarding HR planning, staffing, remuneration, and other HR activities. So they are saying the scope for the corporate strategy is like this, that if we are doing the audit in corporate strategy regarding the HR planning, staffing, remuneration, and other HR activities, you will find out that the things will become very smooth. Then audit of the HR climate on employees' motivation, morale, and job satisfaction. This is the scope of audit. That with the help of the audit, we can identify the HR climate. That means the environment which are prevailing with the help of the HR department in the organization effective, so that it will help the employees to motivate, their morale should be increased, and the job satisfaction is always there. Then what are the benefits of HR audit? As we have talked about the scope of audit, then now we are going to talk about the benefits of HR audit. So there are few benefits of HR audit. It helps to find out the proper contribution of the HR department towards the organization. With the help of the HR audit, it has to be identified that what are the proper contribution HR department is doing towards the organizational smooth functioning. Then the development of the professional image of the HR department of the organization. This is another benefit, that they can do a better development and they can improve their professional image for in the organization when HR audit takes place. Then it reduces the HR costs. Definitely, when we are doing the audit, we are able to find out that what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses. We can find out some remedial actions which can help in reducing the HR cost while doing for long and uh, extensive work to identify the problems uh, appearing in the organization. Then motivation of the HR personnel. HR audit also helps to motivate the HR personnel also. Then we have to find out the problems and solve them smoothly. With the help of the HR audit, as I have mentioned just now, that we are in a position to find out the problems and we are in situation to solve the problems also. Then there must be sound performance appraisal system if there is HR audit system. Because when we are doing the HR audit, definitely we are going to point out and identify the performance appraisal system. As it is sometimes said that whenever the performance appraisal systems comes, it is the role of the HR to see that how they are doing the performance appraisal system, how they are preparing the appraisal system. In this situation, sometimes it happens that it depends upon the people itself. It is self appraisal also. It depends upon the supervisor, it depends upon the immediate bosses also, it depends upon your subordinates also. So there are different type of system which we have to perform when you are doing the appraisal part. So it should not be biased, so that the things will be very sound and smooth for the organization. Then we have to go for the systematic job analysis. What are job analysis? Job analysis means that whatever the work person is doing and how the job is analyzed, that is the basic of the job analysis. Because whenever we are finalizing the salary structures, whenever we are finalizing the different grading system, scale system, rating system, in that situation we have to identify the job analysis systematically, so that we can find out that okay, what is the difference between grade 1 and grade 2 and grade 3 and grade 4, and what are the jobs the people are performing in that situation. Then smooth adoption of the changing mindset. If HR audit is there, it is always said that the mindset of the people can change effectively. Then what is the audit process? The audit process consists of a series of questions covering the 8 components of the HR functions. So they are saying that audit process consists of 8 components. Number one is role, headcount, and HR information system. We have to find out the role of HR. Then we have to see that how many people are working in the in the organization, and what is the HR information system. Then recruitment. In the process, we have to see that how recruitments are taking place, whether these recruitments are on the basis of the requirement of the organization, or it is a future forecasting which help the HR department to make the recruitment. Then the documentation. With the help of the auditing, we can find out that how the documentations are going to take place in the HR department, because it will help to make the HR planning. Because without the documentation, without the number of people required by the organization in the organization, it will make it difficult for HR planning process to be implemented effectively. Then training, development, and career management. This means that in the process we have to see that how we are training the people, how we are developing those people after the training, and what are the sources, what are the methods, what are the techniques we are using for the improvement of the career management for the employees at different levels. Then we have to identify the compensation and benefits also in the audit process, which says that how much compensation we are providing to the people, and what are the extra benefits we are giving to the employees who are working effectively and their performances are really good. Then performance measurement and evaluation. We have to identify the measurement of the performances and we have to evaluate those things also. Then termination and transition. That means that how we are going to terminate the people. This comes in the audit process. If it is necessary, then only we can do that. But there are a lot of legal things also before terminating anybody. And that transition means that in case if somebody is transferred from the organization, you have to take care of that also, and that has to be taken care by the HR department. Then the legal issues and the personal policies. This is the last point in audit process, which says that we have to take care of the legal process issues also, which are prevailing in the organization, and the personal policies also. That what are the personal policies for the employees and of the organization. So we have to correlate both the things with the legal issues in the organization. Then it is said that teamwork to collect information to answer the HR audit questions. In each of these categories, the focus is on how these activities and tasks are actually performed in the organization. So it is very, very important that it is a teamwork, and whatever the information is going to be collected by the HR audit questionnaires in each categories, the focus is that how these activities and tasks are actually performed in the organization. The first step is to collect all the pertinent information. That means the information which are really required, and the process of getting information in and of itself can be quite informative. That means how you are going to take the information, how you are going to deliver the information. This is the most important part. So you have to take all the smallest information from all the team, and then according to that you have to do the audit process and looking into the matter that all these 8 points should be taken care effectively. Then what is group dynamics? Group dynamics is an important theory that can enable managers to adopt the right approach of interacting with others. That means group dynamic means that it's sort of theory which enables the managers to adopt the right approach while interacting with their colleagues or maybe other people. People work in group quite frequently and in many different areas of their life. Example, work at school, colleges, sports, hobbies, etc. So they are saying that it is very, very important to identify group dynamics, and it is the role of the manager to see that how they are unable to adopt the right approach to talk to the people in the group, because there are people who are working in the group since long in different areas. So manager should be such that he or she can be in a position to talk to the people within the group in such a nice manner so that the things will be smooth and move forward for the betterment of the organization. The groups can be of two types: informal and formal groups. Informal groups are a collection of people seeking and sharing emotional traits. Formal groups, on the other hand, are a set of people created to do something productive. So please try to understand this thing that there are two type of groups. One is informal and one is formal. What is formal group? Formal group means that there are number of people who are basically created to do something productive. These are formal peoples, and informal people mean that there are collection of people who are basically looking for sharing their emotional information to other people also. So there are two type of people who are prevailing in the organization. Informal groups have their own code of implicit ethics. They have a powerful influence on the effectiveness of the organizational function. Although the tendency of the group member is to resist outside influences, the impact depends on the norms of the group. That means that informal groups, they are saying that they are having their own code of ethics, and they have a powerful influence on the effectiveness of the organization function, that they can create an impact in the organization for the effective function of the thing. And they have the tendency of this group member is to resist outside the influences. That means they resist every time when there is a influence from outside. The norms are general standard of conduct for various social and organizational settings. Norms can be positive, negative, or neutral. They are saying in the informal groups there are general standards code of conduct regarding the various social and organizational settings. That means in the social and the organizational setting, there are different type of code of conducts, and norms can be either in the positive way, in the negative way, or it should be neutral also. Then group enforced norms are what? Facilitate survival of the group. This is one point. Second is simplify role expectations. That means that what roles they are expecting in the group, that is also there. Then protect the self image. This is also important in group, that they have to protect their self image also, express key group values and enhance the group's unique identity. That means they have they are in a tendency to express the values of the group and enhance the group unique identity, that okay, this is the thing which we are doing it and we are unique in other. And they usually avoid the rejection from a group. That means the people who are in the group, they try to avoid rejection which prevails in the group. Then team building. Team building refers to the process of establishing and developing a greater sense of collaboration and trust between team members. Interactive exercises, team assessments, group discussions enable group to cultivate this greater sense of teamwork. Team building means that it is a process of establishing and developing a greater sense of collaboration. So whenever the word team building comes, that means that it is basically related with the sense of collaboration among the people and trust between the team members. So for that, we can do lot of interactive exercises also. Team assessment programs are there. Then group discussions are also there to cultivate great sense of teamwork. So it is very, very important if you are working in a group. Team building is very, very important because this is the thing on the basis of which you can create a sense of collaboration and trust between the group members so that it will be easier for you to express yourself in better manner and you can cultivate greater sense of teamwork into that. Then what are the characteristics of group good team building? High level of interdependence among team members. That means that all the team members are interdependable. That means each one require each one's advices and discussions so that the high level of interdependence will be there. Then team leader has good people skill and is committed to team approach. Yes, there is a leader in team building. So the role of team leader is what? He has good skill to interact with the people within the team and committed to the team approach. That means whatever the team is doing it, they are working towards the positive approach on that. Then each team member is willing to contribute. That means in the team, everybody wants to contribute equally so that it will be a very good win-win situation. Then team develops a relaxed climate for communication. Of course, when everything is smooth, it becomes a very relaxed area where you can communicate directly to your members. Then team members develop a mutual trust. That means that there is a trust among the people and it will help the team members to build their team very effectively. Then team and individuals are prepared to take risk. That means as an individual or as a team, in both the situation there are people who are able to take the risk because their approach, their high level of interdependence are too much and they are having a mutual trust so that it will be easier for everybody to do that. Then team is clear about goals and established targets. That means whatever the team is prevailing in the organization, they are very clear about their goals and targets and roles are defined in the team. Team members know how to examine team and individual errors without personal attack. That means team members know how to examine the team in case if something is wrong, they can discuss with each and every member and they can remove the errors instead of going for a personal attacks. Then team has capacity to create new ideas. Of course, when you are working in a team, you must be coming with new ideas which are very good. Then each team member know how he can influence the team agenda. In the team, this is another plus point which says that each team member knows how they can influence the agenda of the team. So this is also very, very important regarding the team is concerned. Then when evaluating how well team members are working together, the following statements can be used as a guide. When evaluation is taking place, that how members are working together, there are few things which you can use as a team guide. Number one is team goals are developed through a group process of team interaction and agreement in which each team member is willing to work toward achieving the goal. That means team goals are developed through a group process of team interaction. That means whatever the goal they are setting, it is set by the discussion with each and every team member and they are willing to work towards achieving that particular goal. Then participation is actively shown by all team members and roles are shared to facilitate the accomplishment of tasks and feeling of group togetherness. Participation with from each and every member is such that they are sharing the roles And why they are sharing the roles? To facilitate the accomplishment of tasks and feeling of group togetherness. Then feedback is asked for by members and freely given by a way of evaluating the team's performance and clarifying both feeling and interest of the team members. That means when feedback is asked, they are saying that it is the way of evaluating the team's performance and clarifying the feelings and interests of the team members. That means that with the help of the evaluation, you can identify the performance and the feelings of the team member and the interests of the team member. Then team decision making, it involves a process that encourages active participation by all members. Team decision making means that it involves the process that encourages active participation by all the members. That means if we are making a human resource planning, this teamwork, this group is very, very important because on the basis of that only you can identify the people and you can work on the planning and making the strategy for the organization in very positive manner. Then there are few other points which comes under this. The leadership, it is distributed and shared among the members and individual willingly contribute their resources as needed. Leadership means that it is distributing among the members of the team and they have to come up with the own resources as and when it is needed. Then problem solving, the discussing the team issues effectiveness are encouraged by all team members. That means there is one point when problem solving techniques comes into picture and in this the discussion takes place which are in the effectiveness and are encouraged by all team members. Then conflict is not suppressed. Team members are allowed to express negative feelings and confrontation within the team, which is managed and dealt with the team member. That means that conflict cannot be suppressed. So it is said that it is very, very important to see that you have to allow and express the negative feeling and the confrontation within the team, which is managed and dealt with by the team members. Then team members' resources, talented, knowledge, and experience are fully identified, recognized, and used whenever appropriate. That means that when we are in a team, their knowledge, skills, and experience are identified by each and every person and they are used whenever it is required. As I have told you that human resource planning, it is very, very important to understand this thing. Then risk taking and creativity are encouraged when mistakes are made. They are saying it is also important when you are working in a team that you are encouraged to take the risk and the creativity of yourself so that it will be easier for you to learn the things more effectively. Then what are the basic steps in team building? A successful team building requires a number of steps. Number one, the first and foremost requirement for team building is the recruitment or selection of the participants. So now you can see that how the things are coming up again and again. That means it is a circle. And when we are making the HR planning, that this is also one of the tool which we can use. So this is first point, recruitment and selection. Since participants ensure the success of a project, a team leader look for certain specific traits in them. They must have confidence and the ability to generate trust among the fellow members. Then second is a participant must possess leadership quality and must be positively oriented at all times. Then next to the selection are well-defined team goal and the same must be communicated to the participating members. That there must be a defined goal which can be shared with all the participating members. Then the participants in the team must be aware of the reason for their participation. Yes, it is necessary because they should know that why they are participating in this project. And why it is necessary because this will motivate them and to develop intergroup trust. Then when we are defining the goal in advance, makes the participants feel worthy and competent, while at the same time giving the team as a direction to what. Otherwise, the team members become disoriented, directionless, and demotivated. So it is important to see that whatever the goal is there, if it is already informed to the team members, they will start intergroup trust also, and they become the competent member of your team. Then team building must be considered in context of the team goal. It requires multiple and balanced skill sets to achieve the goal. A right combination of theoretical and practical skill sets ensure the successful goal achievements. Of course, if person is having a good theoretical knowledge as well as the practical skills, this will clearly indicate that the goals are going to be achieved. The individuals with technical and theoretical expertise as a team members go a long way in coming up with a solution that benefit everyone. That means they are saying that if individual is having a technical knowledge and theoretical experiences, they can become one of the best beneficiary for the organization. Then a team leader has a great role to play in team performance. The leader must have leadership skills to command respect from his or her team. Yes, it is very very necessary that if the leader is very effective, he should command some respect. Team building is likely to suffer in absence of positive and effective personality of the team leader. Of course, if leader is good, definitely the team is going to be good also, and the environment of the for the working in that particular area is also going to be good. Then successful team building required training in the team in group dynamics, communication, and conflict management. So these are the things which we have to talk about the team building, regarding the leadership quality, regarding the human resource planning aspects, regarding the audits, that how we are going to do the audits in different areas and how we can perform effectively in such a manner so the things can become more effective for each and every person. So on the basis of that, I have just given some questions to you, which is in the form of MCQs, and I am sure that you are in a position to give the answer for these questions. Question says human resource departments are what? It is line department, authority department, service department, or functional department. Then the second question is what is human factors? Third is job analysis. Then what are the factors responsible for the growth of human resource management, HRP, or human resource planning? Development of scientific management and awakening sense of social responsibility, the problem of how the available human resources could effectively minimize, and technical factors. So these are the things which I have just given to you, as I have discussed to you about the human resource planning and the auditing, and I have discussed to you about the leadership, team building, resources, etc., the importance of team building, etc. Then the question says directing is one of the important function of human resource management, which comes under what? Managerial function, operative function, technical function, or behavioral function. Then they are saying that which of the following is a method of collection of information for job analysis? Questionnaire, ratio analysis, optimization, or trend analysis. The next is who laid the foundation of human resource practices? So these are the questions which I am sure that you are in a position to give the answer for that. Then there are a few more questions. That grievance, redressal, discipline, collective bargaining are what? Integration function, procurement, development, or behavioral functions. Then content of job description involves what? Job title, condition of work, educational qualification, both A and B, and none of the other. So these are the questions which I have just identified and given to you. Why? Because of only one reason, that whatever we have discussed just now related with the HR auditing, then HR team working, then uh, team building, then leadership, etc., etc. These questions are based on that, so that you are in a position to give the answer